What is going on? It is Darren Perky, and this is the PPL podcast. I can't believe I'm actually saying that because I don't listen to podcasts normally. It sounds crazy. Who thought to do a podcast? But no, seriously, one of my goals in the next 2 years or so is to kind of get the word out about PPL. Obviously, I have a high-end mentoring program. There's not going to be much of that in this podcast. Obviously, we're talking about some of it here and there. People ask questions about it all the time, so I will discuss that. But the real goal of this PPL podcast is to get people into the world of PPL, true pay-per lead, not lead gen, it's true PPL. Okay, and we'll talk about more what that is. And I have videos on that on my regular YouTube channel. But this is I have no idea how to podcast. Just to be clear, I know you're talking to a microphone and do some shit. I have other than that, I have no idea. So I'm the kind of guy who starts stuff and I'm going to work through it. I'm going to figure it out as I go because I could watch 30 hours of videos on how to become a professional podcaster and I'll still screw it up. So why go through the 30 hours when I can just start from the beginning and just make it happen? And then get suggestions from you guys and say, hey, Darren, do this, do this, do this. I'll take your criticism and your constructive, obviously. I have a voice for radio, which is good because I'm not very attractive, so that works out really well. Or let's say a face for radio, right? Anyway, so the format will be a little bit of me talking about questions that people are asking, different things that are working, and stuff like. So I'll have some guests on for sure. Different softwares that I'm using. I'll have some of the guys from those softwares come up on the podcast and talk about their business model and what they're doing. And I don't have a time frame for everything. I'm gonna do at least once a week. Hopefully, eventually every day. I don't know what the time commitment is. I'm still doing videos for my mentoring program, PPL or coaching program, PPL Profit. So I'm still doing that kind of stuff too. So I have these 20, 30-minute windows where I can just take a question from the pool of questions that you guys have asked me, and I can go ahead and shoot a quick audio file for it, which is to me pretty simple. But this is the first episode of the PPL podcast. I have on here, I have 001. Hopefully it'll be 999 or at the end of this year, at least maybe 100 or 200. I'm not sure exactly how many we'll have. I'm not setting a goal for that because I don't have any data of what I can actually do yet. So you'll notice that about me is that like I said before, I do a lot of just make it happen and then figure it out along the way. So, and I'm willing to spend money to do that, right? So I'm willing to if something I start doesn't work out and I spend $100,000, I know it didn't work out, fine, now I know. And instead of waiting 6 months to hire someone and figure it out and all that stuff, I just start the business and let it go. So, you learn that way too, right? Which is always good. Anyway, so what we're going to do in this first episode is you guys ask questions into, we had a Google form that we put out before the show started. And we had 38 responses, and some of them are obviously the same questions, kind of reworded differently, but they're pretty much the same questions. There's maybe a dozen or so questions that are kind of thought-provoking, I can elaborate on sort of thing. And so what we're going to do in this particular episode is go through one of those questions. Other episodes will be, like I said before, guests, maybe talking about certain software that I'm using, maybe walking through a situation that happens or whatever it is. I'm not sure, but the goal is to eventually get to it every day or Monday through Friday, but I'm committing to once a week right now because I don't know the time commitment. So, all right, first things first, let's go ahead and talk about a question we got from Steven. This is actually a two-part question, so the second part is really easy to answer. The first part, I'll elaborate a little more on. And then, pardon me for my voice. I've had a little bit of sore throat the last few days, but I'm committed to making a podcast, so damn it, we're going to do it. So the question is, dealing with skeptical and jaded prospects, how do you do it? And how to get leads coming in within the first few months organically. So I'll answer the second question first, which is you can't, right? Unless you already have a site ranked, it's really difficult to get leads coming in organically in the first couple of months. Now, there is some ways to kind of expedite how you're ranking all that stuff. I don't do a whole lot of that. I'll probably put out an actual video on my YouTube channel, on the PPL Podcast YouTube channel, talking a little bit about kind of my philosophy of PPL. But to answer the question, how do you get leads coming in within the first few months organically? I consider organically pretty much SEO. So writing blog posts, writing landing pages, getting those up in there. It's pretty difficult to do that in the first couple of months. Maybe 3 or 4 months in, you might get a call or two, but it's not going to be a whole lot. And so if you're in the home services space or whatever it is you're doing, figure out some of those methods that work, like whether it's Craigslist or AdWords or Facebook ads or Twitter, whatever it is, right? Do those. I'm pretty much always going to recommend paid. I'm a paid guy. I like to be paid, and I also like to do paid traffic. Paid traffic is very controllable. I know probably people say, oh, but if you rank a website, you get 15 calls a day, you're making more money. I'm like, yeah, but you're taking how long to do that? Plus, you could get hit by an algorithm update and bad links. Dude, it's simple. Just I make X, I spend X, I make X, I make money, I less work per day. Very simple. And you can actually do those same campaigns over and over again if you call what we call niching down. So, in theory, if you're doing, let's say you're doing all plumbers, and you have a plumbing campaign that's working really well and it's profitable, and you're getting leads for 30, you're selling for 75. Let's just say you can repeat that across the country and never have to do any more AdWords optimization past the first month or so. So why not do that all the time? That's personally my preference versus like trying to rank and outrank other people who are trying to hit you with bad links, and it's just too much work, right? So I personally don't do that. The second part of the question, and just to be clear too, like something like Craigslist, I know that's technically free, and that could be considered kind of organic because you are posting and people can find it, but they have to go to, they have to actually have to go to Craigslist to find those for the most part. You can rank organically for some of those, but I haven't seen those happen in years. But I'm sure they still rank organically in Google searches. But I consider that paid because we do have someone post for us, 10, 15 times a day in an area. So that's paid to me. That's the best way. If you have a home services and you know that your area can do well with Craigslist, I mean, you guys just talk to Justin Towers. He has a Craigslist service. I think it's like $2 per post that's live, and he basically has all this tools and stuff. It's pretty cool. But the idea there is that I think it has a package right now for $500 a month. You can do unlimited posting in an area. It's like 15 posts a day, 6 days a week. I don't know the whole thing, but hit me up if you have those questions. But he basically will test an area for you first for a fee, like basically test it, make sure it works, and see if you can get calls. And if he does, obviously you can ramp it up. That's the best way. If you consider that organic, that would be the best way. But to build a site out today and get that going is pretty much really hard to do. So dealing with skeptical, jaded prospects, that's really the meat and potatoes of this other question. So I wrote a post when I came back from Thailand. On the flight back, I wrote a post about my flanking pitch, how I sell PPL services. I don't go in saying, hey, I have leads, do you want them? I go in and say, I have a service, I'm amazing at it, I'll do the whole thing for you, including the ad spend for a premium. And so that helps a lot, and that's a very, very brief version of what the flanking pitch is. For those of you who are on YouTube, I'll put a link in the comment section for it in the description for you, so you can go over there. Those of you on SoundCloud, jump over to Facebook or YouTube and check out the video there. But the idea behind someone being skeptical or jaded is a trust act. It's a trust factor, right? So how do you build trust? That's really the question. How do you build trust with the prospect? And there's a couple ways to do this. It's a little harder when you're first starting out because you don't have any real proof or real evidence. The easiest way to do this is to learn the vernacular of your industry. So, as an example, I'm predominantly in the personal injury space. So, I know things like key tam and voir dire or voir dire, depends on what part of the country you're from. It's basically jury selection. I know how a case happens. I know the average time from a case filing to a settlement to a hearing. To a settlement, again to the actual court dates, how the court works. I know that entire industry in and out, and so by you having that vernacular and saying things that are in their industry, like hey, like I'm just trying to give examples, like for an AC repair company, do you do after hours calls? Do you work on Ream? Do you work on American Standard? What are you certified in any of the major companies like Ream, American Standard, Train, what that kind of stuff. Those will all help you build trust because you're talking their language. And that's usually the best way to kind of get going with it. And then just empathize, right? Say, listen, we get it, man. We know a lot of people in this, online marketing space have screwed a lot of guys over. That's why we changed our business model. Our business model is when we get you results, you pay us, not prepay us for results. Now, technically, we ask for the first 10 leads up front to help kind of solidify the relationship. But it's those help us also do something called the WOW service, which for those of you who are in PPL Profits, you understand that. But basically, the idea is that you're going to kind of onboard them over the first 90 days in that WOW service time. And the WOW stands for week over week. But the idea here is that you're going to help them and nurture them to the reason you built your company, the way you built your company was because so many people are jaded, right? And the idea behind that is you can use vernacular that they have. You can use the terminology that they use. You can understand how their business works and do that. That's why niching down is so important, because so many people will try to help everybody in the community with every business possible, and they never get to that point. Now, there are some guys who are amazing selling people. They can sell anything to anybody. I'm not that guy. I don't think I'm a very good salesman, right? I actually suck at sales per se. I'm just really good at understanding my business, and people trust me because of that, right? So if you ask me about PPL, you're came to me because I know everything about PPL. I've been doing PPL for 11 years now. So, I know everything there is to know about PPL, so you come to me because I know everything, right? So when a prospect hears you talking about their business and how the business will work, they're going to trust you because you understand how their business runs. And that takes time, right? It takes time to understand that business. But by niching down, and listen, maybe you go really cheap on your leads the first couple of times. Maybe you do whatever. I don't recommend giving away free leads ever, because that makes your value, because you're selling leads and you're a commodity. But if you are going in with a cold email saying, hey, we have leads, do you want them? And you sell those leads for a certain price and you move on from there, that's okay. Like, it's okay to get started that way. There's nothing wrong with that. We actually teach that in our program. We teach that. We teach to get those leads, just to get someone in the door, so you can go through the ropes and go through the process, and don't worry about how many leads you're getting per week or whatever it is. Just figure it out, right? That's totally okay. But if you're going to really try to grow a PPL business, you have to kind of niche down where you're kind of understanding your prospect. And there's certain industries that are way more jaded than others, and I would even say not necessarily jaded, but just don't understand internet marketing. And that's okay too, right? That's why our business is set up this way, so you don't have to worry about it. You just pay when we get your results. So every time someone contacts you through our marketing efforts, just so you guys are all very clear, back in the day, I used to call this marketing arbitrage. I never called it PPL, right? Actually, if I had to give credit to someone, it'd probably be Brian Burt for that. He kind of coined the phrase PPL. But it's always been marketing arbitrage. That's what we actually called it back in the day. I like PPL, it's a lot easier. And, it's a cool acronym. But, pay per lead is really a result of the efforts that I'm putting into my marketing efforts that you're reaping the rewards of. And we get to be on both sides of the table. The problem with most lead gen companies is that they're going to sell you X amount of leads per month. So, let's just say there's 100, there are $150 a lead. There's 100, you could buy 10 leads per month. It's $1,500, right? That's what they have. If they only produce 8 leads that month, they're going to give you 2 extra leads because they need to still give you 10 leads because you paid for 10 leads. Those last 2 leads are going to be shit anyway, right? There is no incentive for them to do more or less, right? Just to get their number. For us, we want them. I help my partners. We call them partners in PPO. I want my partners to make money with my leads. I want to help them close the deals. I want to help them understand how to talk to someone on the phone, how to get more out of them, how to upsell. We have all that training when we help them. When we work together with them, we're a partner, right? The idea is we're a partner. So when we quote unquote close someone to do a PPL arrangement with us, we help them with their intake department. We help them with their intake process. We help them, with call hours, after hours calls. That's why I built Clerks in the first place. For those of you who know, I have Clerks.io. I built Clerks, the company. We bought a call center and started building it out because I wanted to offer the solution. If you're not very good at sales, you or your partner, we're going to have a team who specializes in PPL. This call center will only work for PPL, meaning that we're going to have, for our clerks to work with us, they have to take tests. They have to know basically plumbing or roofing or HVAC or legal for them to even work with us, because we have to have that same vernacular when the customer calls in to know what an accident is, why there's an accident, what a red light is versus a stop sign, what the different laws are for that. So we have training. We're going to have training on all those things. And so we're going to be rolling out different industries through Clerks. So when a potential customer of your partner calls in, we'll be able to speak to them about their actual case. And if it's for plumbing, we'll be able to talk to them about their problem with plumbing, whatever the pipe is, whatever it is, right? So that's the whole idea of behind Clerks, is to be able to high-end PPL. And that's obviously we're going to sell it to companies too, right? But the idea is if you're doing PPL, for a pretty nominal fee, you can have that kind of covered for them too if they're not very good at closing. Because for those of you who've been in the game for a while, you know how bad it is when someone. I tell this story all the time. Is I had a fence company. I was trying to get my fence redone. I have a little segment of fence, maybe about 10 feet long, that's metal like lined. It's open so you can see through it, but it's metal. And I need to make a PVC, 8-foot PVC. So I need to go from 6 foot by 10 foot to 8 foot by 10 foot. I need to be PVC now because I have Rottweilers and I just don't want them to be at the fence, looking at other dogs and barking. So I call up a guy and say, hey, listen, I have a small piece of fence I need to have redone from metal to PVC. He goes, how big is it? He goes, oh, it's going to be... The first thing he said to me was, oh, it's going to be expensive. Like, that's like a horrible sales process, you know what I mean? And I even said to him, listen, man, I know you probably get like, whatever. So hey, when you're in the area, just give me an estimate of how much it's going to be. Like, don't come out tomorrow, but next time you're in Lake Worth area where I live, next time you're there, I'm not looking to do it today. I don't need to do it today. I can do it whenever. And so if next time you're in my area, if you happen to come by, stop by, let me know. Leave me a quote, and I'll get back to you. I'll let you know. But don't rush out here to do it because I'm not gonna. If you don't, if it's not in your way. It's the same thing I do with pressure washing, right? I have my pressure wash my house done every 6 months. But the guy who does my pressure washing is about 30 miles away. I just like the guy, so I say, hey, listen, next time you're in my area, come do my house. So it might be 4 weeks from now. Like I think I ordered. Pressure washing in October, and I got it done in November because he was just busy. I'm like, but I wanted him to do it. I wanted the guy because I like the guy. He does good work every time. The guys are clean. They keep my house nice, and it's fine. So but that's the kind of person I am. I know most customers aren't that way. I get that, but I mean, to say something right away, hey, it's gonna be expensive. I mean, that's not a good way. And I no offense, but I have unlimited money to pay for a $2,000 fence. I mean, it's not a big deal. So I make more than that in profit a day. So it's like not a big deal, but but still, he doesn't know that obviously. So anyway, so just, sometimes when you have those people that are jaded or whatever it is, a lot of the times it's not so much that it's a trust issue with you. That can be the case because they've heard the same pitch before, so change your pitch up. But that can also be like kind of toned down when you have the vernacular, when you start speaking their language, asking them questions. That's a great one. Ask questions, right? So it's like, how long you've been in business, how many trucks do you have? How many guys do you have running trucks? What's your call center look like? Who answers the phones for you? Those are questions that most people aren't asking, right? And when you ask those questions, you're qualifying the person first of all, right? Because you don't want a guy who has one truck and that's it. Because in the PPL model, we get paid on everything we do, not just a monthly retainer. So if you produce, let's say an average SEO campaign for a plumber is $4,000 a month, I might charge them $7,000, $8,000 a month. But the question becomes, if they're a one-man show, what happens when, first of all, can they take all the leads that you produce? That's one question. There is some theory about not giving them too many leads per month. But also, the other part of that is, if their truck breaks down and they have a major problem with the truck, and your bill comes due, who are they going to pay? It's not going to be you. So when they have 2 or 3 or 4 trucks, a couple guys working, 6, 7 guys working, usually they're been in business for a while and you can help them grow even more. PPL can work for every situation, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it should, right? So make that clear. So just make that kind of something to think about. So that's it, guys. I'll end it here. Not quite 20 minutes, but I kind of want to give you guys a little taste of the PPL podcast. My first one. I'm very excited about it. If you guys have comments, suggestions, critiques, whatever, as long as they're constructive, we're good. If they're not constructive, I won't listen to them. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, that's it. I will see you guys on the next episode of the PPL podcast. Later.